Hello everybody, Jet here, and today we are going to be talking about the new Ogre mechanics coming in the Omens of Destruction DLC. We're going to be talking about the obviously the new Legendary Lord as well, Mr. Maneater the Mercenary. I won't be saying his full name because apparently YouTube does not like that. So obviously this is our new Legendary Lord, Golg. More tales are told about Golg than any other ogre alive, and he spins a great many of them himself. Yet there is much truth in the legend, as he is undoubtedly one of the most successful ogre mercenaries of all time, establishing their dreaded reputation as lethal hired fighters well before they became a familiar presence in forces worldwide. A weathered veteran, there are few foes in the world he hasn't faced, having fought across continents and cultures the world over. He'll take any job, kill anyone, and steal anything as long as the price is right. And his loyalty is strictly for hire, lasting only as long as the deal does. Boisterous and larger than life, Golg is also a top guzzler of Bugman's ale. So let's look at him at a glance. Let's look at him. His playstyle then, his battle playstyle. A fearsome reputation such as Golg's isn't forged through showing mercy, and on the battlefield he ensures that any fools who stand in his way regret it. He is a proficient anti-infantry killer. He cuts through foes like a sharp knife through a stale old world butter. But he can also call upon deadly abilities. So let's have a look at these. So Deadeye, an active ability. He whips out his trusty pistol, allowing him to fire a powerful single shot that deals significant range damage and armor-piercing damage. Perfect for taking out elite single entity units. Does what it says on the tin. Been there, done that. A passive area of hexes. So Golgfag has such a damning reputation that he debuffs enemy units within his vicinity, causing terror, decreasing their melee defense, melee attack, base weapon damage, and armor-piercing melee damage. Now, is that just terror, or is it a bit more than terror? I guess we'll have to wait and see. And Bugman's XXXXXX, active regeneration, with insatiable appetite for ale. Golg takes a breather on the battlefield and enjoys a proper strong brew, allowing him to recharge hit points when he's out of combat to gain extra vigour. So quite nice thing, causing terror to reduce things, a nice heal, and a good single shot attack, as well as probably being a fairly solid anti-infantry monster. It's the kind of lord I like, actually. So here are his campaign mechanics. These are work in progress. So obviously here's some images of the contracts there, and this is obviously one you've got which you're working through, and you can contribute through various different bits. So battles, raising, raiding, hero actions, gifting, settlements, various things, and obviously you get various rewards for completing it. And here's just a look at one they've obviously failed here. Okay, let's have a... So, as an intentionally renowned mercenary, he helps client factions throughout the Warhammer world settle their warring disputes by taking on all their wars. By taking on all their wars. When a contract is signed, he must earn points by making acts of aggression against the enemy within a specified turn limit, and after reaching his target, the contract is completed. That is a mouthful. So basically, you've got a set of stuff to do within a certain time frame. Granting a payout and rewards such as meat, Maneater banners, and culturally unique items and ancillaries. Each contract will vary in rewards depending on the level of difficulty, which is determined by how many enemies the client has and their cumulative strength. In true mercenary style, the mechanic means that Golg's playstyle will be much more about sacking and raising settlements to gather meat, which will be essential for maintaining ogre camps, which we treat as the equivalent of major settlements. The end result is a campaign playstyle which sits in contrast to those of GREASUS and SKRAG, albeit with the same level of brutality, butchering and belching. Ogre Legacy Updates. So similar to what's been done for Khorn, we'll highlight some of the major legacy updates coming to the Ogre factions as part of the 6.0.0 update. Keep in mind that if you already own the Ogres in any capacity, you will receive these changes completely free. Meat! So, definitely a new thing. I can transfer meat around. Interesting. That'll be useful, so I can actually get meat to people a bit better. We noticed that the current meat resource was underutilized and not as an integral to the ogre identity as we would like it to be. To address this, we are increasing the amount of meat gained from all sources, allowing it to be used more frequently in various contexts. We've also introduced a new feature called Hunger, which replaces attrition for armies that would face when meat supply reaches zero. The more meat an army possesses, the more abilities and mass it gains, effectively merging the old pre-battle meat purchases into the effects of the hunger bar. Meat can now be transferred between forces from camps for construction and spent on offers for Great Maw, or hoarded to empower your army further. Okay, so I like that. So rather than having to worry about it, it's kind of a more passive thing, but you can also transfer it around to help. I wonder if there's a bit of a tax when you transfer it. It costs money. There you go. Yeah. Offerings to the Great Maw. Again, all this is work in progress. You can tell by the little bits there for our Noblars riding on top of each other. So, causes attrition. I can't remember what the original ones were, but yeah, we'll see. We felt that the offerings to the Great Maw weren't as interactive as we'd like. The existing version required a small meat cost and presented a decision once every 10 turns, which made it somewhat forgettable. I have to say, I've been playing a campaign recently, and I would agree there, I just never bothered with it. Now, enabling offerings to the Great Maw provides a passive bonus that increases the force's meat upkeep rather than a 10-turn effect. So it's a constant thing. These effects can be toggled on or off with a cooldown, allowing multiple offerings to be active at once. With a different... I like that. So basically I can have them all on and it will have... I assume that's the upkeep cost. That's a much better way of doing it, because then you can tweak it up and down. You can still forget about it, but it's not as damaging to forget about it. That's good. Okay, Ogre Camps. We felt the current Ogre Camps didn't fully capture the fantasy of wandering nomadic Ogre tribes, and their playstyle was similar to other factions, with only the addition of a static camp. I kind of agree. They kind of felt like it's just another settlement. In fact, it was your most important settlement. So what's changing? Ogre Camps can now move around the campaign map, though their movement is limited and incurs a meat cost. While it's encouraged to place camps strategically to minimise movement, they're no longer locked in one spot. Additionally, Ogre Camps no longer rely on horde growth. All buildings now require meat to construct, giving you a more flexibility in prioritising buildings and reducing idle turns waiting for growth. That's really good, because that means you can plonk one down, chuck a load of meat into it, and build it really quickly with a good army. As previously mentioned, meat can now be transferred to camps from armies. The intended gameplay flow encourages sacking or raiding with armies to gather meat, then send them back to the Ogre Camps. Camps can then use this meat to construct and upgrade buildings, gaining further access to more powerful units, then send the upgrades to armies to gather even more meat. The Ogre Camp Lords now feature skill trees, while camps have no upkeep. Units cannot be exchanged between camps and other armies. I'm a bit confused there. So can I not build like in the camp, or do I have to build in an army nearby? I guess we'll see when we get to play it. How does this change the Ogre playstyle? We aim to shift players to focus towards sacking and raising rather than occupying settlements. To support this change, sacking and raising will now be the primary ways to gather meat, essential for maintaining ogre camps, which we treat as the equivalent of major settlements. Now, they did say this wasn't quite the same for SKRAG, but I think it sounds like it is for everybody, actually. Settlements in Ogre Kingdoms are now considered based on strategic value rather than climate type. While some locations may serve as key strongholds, others can function as disposable outposts, better suited for sacking, raising, or gifting to a mercenary client, depending on the player's goals and circumstances. I like that. I really like that change. I think that's going to really update how you play. It's going to change the flow. And actually, it's kind of what I was talking about in my recent SKRAG playthrough. It's kind of a lot of the stuff I was talking about and where I hoped they were going with. So I'm very happy with all of that. And I think that's going to be a really positive change. Ogre big names. We believe that Ogre big names are in a good place overall, so have only made minor changes to how they operate. We have expanded the feature to be used by all Ogre Lords and Heroes, rather than just being used by Legendary Lords, whilst also making it so that multiple can be active at once. Again, multiple things active at once, I like that. Additionally, we've also adjusted the balancing of each name's effects. Cool. Tech tree clearly changed quite a bit. So Hordes 1 and Tribes 1. We've reworked the Ogre tech tree to reflect the changes mentioned above. The tech tree has now been split into two tabs. The Tribes tab, which allows you to progress down which allows players to the Tribes tab, which allows players you to progress down two paths to improve your nomadic camp gameplay or your homebound settled gameplay, and the Hordes tab, which allows you to improve your forces in a variety of interesting ways. So yeah, the Horde one is more about, obviously, so the Horde one's going to be more Golg's playstyle, whereas the Tribes is going to be the odd guys. Army ability rework. Ogre Kingdoms will now generate army ability points in a slightly different way. Previously, points were gained based on the number of enemies killed while routing. This felt very niche and didn't offer much flexibility. Now, Ogre Kingdoms gain passive income of army ability points for every entity killed by a charging unit. Okay. Path of the Butcher. So, SKRAG the Slaughterer, also known as the Prophet of the Great Maw, the Gore Harvester, and the Maw that Walks, is a character with a powerful bond to the Great Maw. To reflect this in gameplay, we've introduced a feature that grants scaling bonuses based on the number of acting offerings to the Maw. These bonuses reduce the Winds of Magic costs, lower camp construction costs, and increased post-battle captives, with additional abilities unique to SKRAG. This design encourages players to adopt a unique playfile with SKRAG, focusing on gathering large amounts of meat and keeping offerings active. This offers SKRAG a very different playstyle to that of Golg and GREASUS, which focuses on being a mercenary and over-tyrant, so they focus on different things. Okay, so now we're going to look at a GREASUS, I do believe. The Tyrant's Demand. GREASUS GOLDTOOTH, the over-tyrant of the Ogre Kingdoms, is renowned for his immense wealth and insatiable greed, using his power to conquer all he desires. To capture his influence in gameplay, we've introduced a unique feature that provides GREASUS with exclusive campaign actions suited to his over-tyrant status. These actions provide powerful effects like blocking enemy movement, disbanding units in enemy armies, ranking up his own units, replenishing action points, dealing attrition damage, and others. Unlike similar features that rely on pooled resources, GREASUS's actions only require treasury, reflecting his wealth-driven approach. This feature encourages players to accumulate and spend vast amounts of gold, offering a distinct playstyle that solidifies GREASUS as a valuable legendary lord alongside Golg and SKRAG. So let's have a look at this. So bribe. I mean, I can probably guess what that does. Buyout. That looks like it can buy a settlement. Rough them up. Sticky fingers. Steal stuff. Stomp in the grounds. That's gonna. I don't know what that's gonna be. Overtime is gonna be extra movement range and veteran rages. He's either gonna be cheaper or interesting. Sticky fingers. Steal a magical item. Okay, so let's move on to some of the other new things. So the new legendary hero here, BRAGG the GUTSMAN. BRAGG is a notorious loner and shunned even by his own kind. His gruesome killing style, particularly his brutal use of the bladed hook to disembowel foes, horrifies even the hardiest ogres, leading to his exile from every tribe he encountered. His reputation as a merciless executioner or gutsman spreads far and wide, with few daring to challenge him. To heighten his intimidating presence, BRAGG dons a dark leather hood, evoking the image of a human hangman, constantly seeking new jewels. BRAGG's fearsome skill and blood-soaked legend make him a dreaded and solitary figure. So his playstyle here, Executioner. BRAGG's reputation as a prodigious killer earns him the Executioner moniker. When his foreboding execution ability is active, granting him the ability to instantly kill enemies. So when he's got that going, he has a one-shot ability. That's kind of scary. Large entity killer. He is proficient in killing ogres and gives this unit... so he's good anti-large, and he causes fear to those around him. Okay, on to the new lord types then. Or new lord type. The Ogre Paymaster. I know a few people have been wanting this one in for a while. You can see he's got a nice pay chest on his back. In Maneater culture, where treasure and rewards are highly valued, the role of Paymaster is vital to their society. Joining his comrades in battle, the Paymaster drives them forward with a promise of great riches. Known for being greedy and tight-fisted, he's a true penny pincher. His survival instincts are sharp. He makes sure that only those who survive until the end of the battle get paid. He's also demanding and persuasive, constantly yelling at his fellow ogres to fight harder for the money. Motivated by personal gain, he is happy to see others fall, as it is a means to share all of the reward himself. In terms of gameplay, he's a support character and boosts nearby allies with buffs. While not as strong in a melee as other ogres, he can still do significant damage. So he's more of a buffing style hero. Not really the sort of character I play, but we'll see how he comes out. Okay, so Bruisers, new hero type. I think we can tell what they do from their looks. That one's got a particularly dwarven beard. So the Ogre Bruiser often serve as enforcers or second-in-commands within their tribal hierarchy, dedicating much of his time to crushing foes in the name of their tyrant. In return for his combat prowess and brute strength, he enjoys numerous privileges within the tribe. Chief among these is the freedom to beat any ogre who steps out of line. Doesn't eat messily enough? Spends too much time with his noblars. I mean, what sort of ogre spends too much time with their noblars? The Bruiser maintains order and discipline when the tyrant is distracted. Providing leadership boosts, his massive size grants him defensive buffs and resilience against charges. Additionally, his bulk allows him to break enemy formations, creating chaos in the opposing ranks. Blood Vultures are one of the new units we're getting, and they look quite interesting. I don't get an idea of how big they are here, but I've got a feeling they're big. So these agile scavengers sweep across the battlefield, targeting the most vulnerable and exposed enemy units with their exceptional mobility and flight capabilities. After all, they are birds. They provide a highly versatile asset. As the only flying unit on the Ogre roster, they introduce a new dimension of aerial combat that the ogres previously lacked. Their speciality lies in disruption, excelling at engaging missile units in close combat to neutralize their firepower or chasing down routing enemies to prevent them from regrouping. Additionally, they possess a passive ability that enhances their stats the more entities, whether friendly or enemy, die around them. Interesting, making them even more formidable as the chaos of the battle unfolds. I like that. So basically, the more things die near them, the tougher they get, which really makes them a good, fast-moving unit to just bash and hit. And I like them, but I suspect they'll die quickly. But we'll have to see. Thundertusks. Thundertusks are ancient beasts that retreated into the icy peaks of the Mountains of Morn as the world warmed. Imbued with winds of magic, they became living embodiments of winter's chill. Despite their immense size and ferocity, ambitious ogre tribes have managed to capture and tame them, utilizing their crushing strength, freezing aura, and ability to unleash blasts of magical ice. Once under ogre control, Thundertusks become powerful battlefield assets. Their massive bulk allows them to smash through even the toughest infantry lines, while two ogres mounted on their backs provide range support with oversized crossbows. Additionally, their ranged ice attacks serve as effective debuffs, slowing and weakening enemy foes. So you can have two ogres on here with giant crossbows as well. Interesting. Just another nice disrupting unit. Large disrupting unit. I mean, we're ogres. We're going to be large disrupting units. Yhetees. Or Yhetees? I mean, it's Yhetee. A very skull-covered Yhetee. Savage beasts from the highest mountain peaks. These creatures often join their ogre allies in raids. They charge ahead of the ogre host, ambushing unsuspecting enemies with their fierce claws, crude clubs, and icy chill. Their unique connection to the cold allows them to breathe freezing air into their weapons, transforming simple clubs into frostbitten tools of destruction. While this grants them powerful frostbite attacks, it also makes them vulnerable to fire. Armed with dual weapons, they strike swiftly and melee, causing fear as their frozen victims fall before them. I'm intrigued by the ambushing. I'm wondering if these kind of work as a bit of a higher tier gouger, whichever way around it is. Some smaller units, there we go. Pigback Riders. Pigback Riders are a quirky band of Noblar warriors who ride into battle atop their fellow Noblars. Despite their comical appearance, they carry a shield that provides decent protection against missile fire. So they on top of each other. Okay. They play a crucial role in strengthening the ogre battle lines, serving as a meat shield for valuable ogre units. By placing one Gnoblar atop another, they effectively double the meat shield, making them even more difficult for enemies to dislodge. And occasionally they wear a trench coat and go to a bar. Golg's Maneaters, so a specialist unit here, a very armoured looking unit. These Maneaters, also known as Golg's Ogres, are a mercenary band from the harsh mountains of the Ogre Kingdoms, led by the infamous Golg. This group of Maneaters has fought in countless battles across many lands, driven by hunger for wealth, glory and food. Their loyalty is for sale to the highest bidder, serving warlords and generals from all nations without prejudice. The Maneaters unit is known for their exceptional strength. Surpassing regular ogres, they are particularly effective as anti-infantry units, gaining a bonus in combat against smaller units. Their powerful ogre charge ability takes advantage of their natural brute force, making them a formidable presence on the battlefield. So they're just slightly small. Slightly smaller. They will be smaller, but they're basically just a unit of less powerful Golgs. So interesting. We'll see where that goes. We'll see what they're like. Okay, so that is everything here about the ogres. So let me know which bits you are most interested in. Obviously, as soon as we can play this, I'm going to be jumping into this. Me and Tom are planning on doing something multiplayer, though I've not quite decided what yet. So let us know down in the comments what factions you'd like us to see us playing, what you'd like to see solo, what you'd like to see multiplayer, and any other requests down there. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching, and an extra special thank you to my channel members and Patreons. That is a Monsters Abound, Nose, Andrew T, Prataru, Gavin, Jason Air, Newbie1 Kenobi, Skrin, Jared Horn, Space Ace 475, and Good Sir Twisted. And thank you everyone for watching. Cheers all.